Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Think making millions has to be complicated? Ron Reich, featured on the Follow the Brand podcast, believes otherwise. Making a lot of money is really boring, and that's his secret to success. Ron Reich's approach is refreshingly simple. He suggests that the key to financial success isn't about chasing every new tactic. Instead, it's about mastering the basics and sticking to them. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed by the latest trends and still not seeing results? Ron's method might be the answer. Ron Reich's journey began in law school, but he soon pivoted to launching information products from scratch. This was before digital marketing became mainstream. He transformed hustle into mastery, proving that success doesn't require constant reinvention. His story is a testament to the power of focus and dedication. Today, Ron helps 6-figure entrepreneurs scale to 7 figures with his Genius Profit System. The secret? Doing less, not more. Imagine a minimalist desk with just one computer. This simplicity is the essence of Ron's approach. It's about scaling with intention, not complexity. Ron Reich's clients don't just grow, they transform their entire business models. Take Coach Melissa, for example. She skyrocketed from $18,000 to $127,000 in monthly revenue in just 90 days. These results speak volumes about the effectiveness of Ron's methods. The first sale I made, it still might be the happiest I've ever been. This isn't about hype, it's about high-level execution. Ron's approach emphasizes the importance of strategic focus over flashy tactics, leading to sustainable success. You don't need another funnel, you need focus. Stop chasing tactics and start scaling with intention. Ron Reich's philosophy encourages entrepreneurs to prioritize what truly matters, leading to meaningful growth and success. Catch the new episode of Follow the Brand with Grant McGaugh featuring Ron Reich, the genius of boring in business. Stream it now at 5starbdm.com podcast. Mention the show to get Ron's $500 launch course for free.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fabulous week on the Follow Brand Podcast. We're going to take it all the way to Texas. You know, everything is big in Texas, and why not have one of the biggest names in digital marketing today. We're talking about Ron Reich. He's going to be on the show today, and I am so blessed, actually, to actually unpack some of his story. And selfishly, I want to know more about how he's being so successful growing these 6 and 7 figure brands to the levels that they are using his system. So, Ron, you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the introduction. Yeah, my name is Ron Reich, and I'm a business growth and marketing strategist. I've been doing what I'm doing for almost 2 decades, believe it or not. First, selling my own products, and then really working behind the scenes and helping other entrepreneurs grow their brands. So excited to unpack all of it with you today.
We're going to jump right in. We're just going to back up just a little bit into your story because I did some research, Ron. I took a look. I took a deep dive, and just like a potential client would do, do a little due diligence. Let's see what you look like on social, what you look like on digital, on search, and what does that look like? What I found is that you got your start when it comes to building this out for lawyers. Why did you pick that as a niche initially, and how has that helped you?
Yeah, so initially what I actually was a lawyer for a couple of years. So the actual story there is that I was I was in law school, and it was actually my 3rd year of law school. That's when I found out about digital marketing. It wasn't called digital marketing then. This would have been back in about 2003, 2004. It was actually called information marketing back then, the idea of selling information and making money from it. And I was just really interested in this idea, the idea of working from home and making money, selling information. There's high margins. So I got really kind of into that world. I got really fascinated with it. And so it was actually, I graduated from law school in California, and you take the bar exam in July, and you don't get your results until November. So you have like this 4-month period where you're just like not doing anything. And so it was during that period where I was waiting for my bar exam results. That's actually when I decided to launch my first information product, create my first information product. And all the people who I was studying at the time, they said, you want to write about things that you know about. You want to talk about things that you know about. So I knew a lot about law school. So long story short, the first program I ended up coming out with was first a program on how to do better in law school. And then I had a program on how to actually pass the bar exam. And that's what kind of really jump-started my career, which led me to being a digital marketer. I kind of moonlighted as an information marketer for about 2 years while I still had my lawyer job. And then eventually I was able to make enough money selling my digital products and my information products that I was able to quit my job. And that eventually led me to what I'm doing now.
So you found some initial success. Were you doing that on YouTube, or what was the platform that you used?
So back then, it was so interesting. So the 2 things. So I actually made my first sale ever, and it's still the happiest I've ever been. My first sale ever actually it was a $397 How to Succeed in Law School course. And the way I actually sold that was I actually would go to law schools and I would actually stuff flyers for my course, like an ad. It would look like a magazine ad. And I would put that in, then I would just put the flyer in the lawyers, not the lawyer, the students, they would, all the students would have like their little cubbies where you could just put them in there. And so I was doing really old school guerrilla type marketing. I even once, back then, these days webinars are popular, but back then we did teleseminars. And so one thing that I actually did a teleseminar for law students, and the way I got people to that teleseminar was the same thing. I went to the local law schools, and I would put advertisements to my teleseminar, like a postcard, actually on car windshields so they would sign up. And also, the other thing I did, I was actually doing Google AdWords at the time. So most of my initial, to be honest, most of my initial traffic after I made those initial sales actually came mainly from Google AdWords. That was the platform. And back then it was a lot. This was back in the early 2000s. So it was really great. Like Google has since changed their rules a lot then, but back then you could send like directly to a landing page or directly to a sales page. It was kind of like the Wild West back then, so it was a lot easier in a lot of ways than it is now.
Hey, great. This is fascinating when you start to hear that. And I felt it in your voice, that initial put, that first sale. Everybody loves the first sale
Oh yeah, for
because the
sure.
journey it takes to get there, and you're not 100% sure if you're on the right path. Is this really going to work? I mean, you went to law school, you're ready to practice law and have to be a digital marketer. And all of a sudden, you started to shift some gears. Like, hey, this might
For
be
sure.
something
Yeah.
that could actually bear fruit. And this led you to what we know now as the Genius Profit System. I mean, we fast forward, a couple of decades, and here we are, Genius Profit System, and you're working with some pretty major brands here. Yeah, Hay House Publishing, Ryan Levesque, and you help them to scale, to a seven-figure big business. Let's unpack some of that because you just gave us your raw beginnings. Everybody has to have that origin story. And here you're
Mhm.
now at this successful state. But the journey to actually scale and actually, it's one thing that everybody has a claim. Hey, join me, I'll help you, grow $1 million business. There's always the claim. But then there has to be the proof. You have the proof. Talk to us a little bit about that particular journey and how you created this genius profit system.
Yeah, so essentially for I ended up kind of continue really continuing the story as far as how I came up with the things that I help people with and how I came up with my various systems. So I had my initial I kind of got off the ground from that initial project, helping law students essentially. And then the next thing I did, really for the next about 8 years, I actually ended up working with in the relationship space with a dating coach. I was essentially behind the scenes person that kind of ran that business and ran the marketing. And throughout that business, I ended up launching about about 50 of our own products in that niche, 50 different digital products and different kind of coaching programs, different types of things. And so that I was really doing market. I wasn't really teaching marketing. I was really in the trenches, really doing marketing, learning how to write copy, learning how to create offers, learning how to get traffic, and kind of doing all those types of things. I ended up launching another business, which is actually in the dog training market, to show basically selling digital ebooks on how to train your dog. And then so I basically spent about really about a decade, really just like cutting my teeth as a marketer. And then later on, I ended up to cut the long story short, people kind of asked me kind of like how I was doing it, et cetera, et cetera. And that kind of led me to eventually like coaching and consulting with other marketers. And I also was able to work kind of behind the scenes as a consultant, and doing some hands-on things with some of these bigger brands as well. And so kind of like throughout all of that, really it was about through that was about 15 years in by now. About 15 years in, I had really accumulated a lot of a lot of hard-won experience as well as a lot of knowledge. I've read a lot of books. I worked with a lot of coaches, et cetera, et cetera. And so really what I ended up doing was, as far as like to answer your question, how I came up with the system, what I did was I would look at like my clients, like my successful clients, as well as people who I worked with, as well as just people who like colleagues, as well as like businesses that I've observed that were successful. And then what I would do is I would essentially reverse engineer like what are the commonalities of the people who go from like 0 to 6 figures the fastest, or specifically who go from 6 to 7 figures the fastest. What are the kind of common traits of those? And then that's what kind of led me to developing my system.
Sounds like that's genius. One thing I just been listening to you, first of all, you're very smart. I
Oh,
mean,
thank
you
you.
were starting to looking at what you call a niche play. Hey, let's offer something to a group of people that absolutely need this type of service. So I know if I was going to law school, somebody said, hey, here's the way to pass the bar, and you can do this as a tutorial. I'm like, I'm all in. Like,
For sure,
why?
totally.
So that methodology works today. You're offering something to someone who absolutely needs it so they can double down and become successful. So then you're saying, hey, someone who's at 6 figures and they want to go to seven figures, what are the commonalities of that? And I can offer them that path forward to get there. That's the Genius Profit System. Am I right? The GPS of getting to...
Yes. Uh-huh.
At 5-Star BDM, we don't just elevate brands, we forge industry icons. Our mission is to amplify your business and personal brand through dynamic AI-enhanced strategies and an elite professional network of over 20,000 experts. We empower entrepreneurs and small to medium-sized businesses to lead, scale, and transform. Our powerful network accelerates your speed to market and connects you with unparalleled growth opportunities. If you're ready to lead, we'll position your brand to set the industry standard. Explore our comprehensive services designed to build your brand, drive growth, and innovate your business. From personal branding and business development to technology solutions and investment banking, we offer tailored strategies that deliver measurable results and help you dominate your market. Our personal branding service uniquely tailors your professional story. Starting at just $99 per project, we offer online courses, in-person workshops, and scheduled weekly calls. Perfect for individuals beginning their personal branding journey, we help you craft a legacy that commands attention and respect. Strategic plans and execution are at the heart of our business development services. We focus on sustainable growth, helping you secure funding, scale operations, and expand your market reach. Our expertise ensures your business thrives in competitive environments. Innovate with custom artificial intelligence, machine learning, and software solutions tailored to your needs. Our technology services are designed to enhance your business operations and drive efficiency, ensuring you stay ahead in the digital age. Discover real stories and real results. From healthcare startups to tech entrepreneurs, our clients have achieved extraordinary success. For instance, a healthcare brand transformation led to a 40% drop in patient infections, showcasing our impact in diverse industries. In 2009, Grant McGaw faced a pivotal moment at his local general hospital. His father, Gerald McGaw, had passed away due to systemic inefficiencies. Dad always said systems fail when people forget there are human lives at stake, Grant recalls. This loss ignited his mission to transform inefficiency into empowerment, prioritizing people and progress, framework. Gerald McGaw's values inspired the BRAVE framework, guiding Grant's work. It stands for bold, resilient, authentic, visionary, and excellence. These principles shape strategy and culture, fostering team engagement and innovation. As one leader noted, it's transformed how we approach challenges and opportunities alike, highlighting the framework's profound impact on organizations. Since 2020, Grant's mission has evolved into a professional movement. He empowers businesses through strategic services, brand development, technology integration, and community impact. His tailored strategies help organizations grow and adapt, while his initiatives drive positive social change, reflecting his commitment to creating meaningful, sustainable growth. The Follow the Brand platform is a dynamic ecosystem of insights and inspiration. Through weekly podcasts, a TV series, and live events, Grant fosters a community of forward-thinking professionals. This platform connects leaders, sharing journeys and discovering new growth pathways, extending its reach across diverse industries. Grant's work transcends business growth, focusing on building a better future. His initiatives include technology solutions for efficiency, community anti-bullying programs for our youth, leadership development, and platforms addressing social challenges. These efforts underscore his dedication to innovation with purpose, mentoring the next generation. Looking ahead, Grant aims to expand innovative services, grow the Follow the Brand ecosystem, and strengthen leadership programs. His vision includes launching community-focused initiatives, ensuring a lasting impact. As Grant often says, we're not just improving systems, we're enabling dreams, capturing his commitment to transformative change.
All right. So talk to us more about the challenges as well, because it rolls off the tongue very easy. Hey, you go to 6 to 7 figures using this system. Very simple. But I'm sure it's a lot more work than just that. Talk to us about first of all, some of the common misinformation that people have and those common challenges and what you're doing to help mitigate that and get them actually to their desired state.
Yeah, kind of what I guess the things that a good place to go there when we talk about challenges. I'll basically talk about kind of the first kind of stages. Like there's kind of the first two stages of going from 6 to 7 figures. One of them, the first stage is what I call the jumpstart stage. And so what I'll do is I'll answer this question, then we'll extract the challenges from that. So essentially, the first part of going from 6 to 7 figures, and I work mostly with coaches, consultants, service providers, people who are selling kind of like coaching and consulting type services. Not exclusively, but it's still the same answer. But just to give you a little context there, is that the first and most important thing you need to do to get that initial traction is you need to have a good offer. You need to have the right offer to the right audience. This is step 0, step 1. This is like the most important thing. So the first thing, step 1 is always find the right offer to the right person. And to be totally honest, it's not always easy. It's not always easy. Like, I know, I have courses on how to create offers. You could go online, you could find out like checklists on how to create an offer, and all those things are great. And no matter how good of a checklist, you can do everything to a T and you can follow all the directions perfectly, but you're not going to know. The only way you're going to know if your offer is going to sell is if you actually go out and sell it, right? And so the way we actually find out what works, we have to hypothesize an offer, and then we have to go out into the marketplace and see kind of, what works and what doesn't work. So step 1, the biggest mistake that people make first is just not being committed to that process. It's just realizing that, the first thing you do might not work. The second thing you might do might not work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all about staying consistent, staying out there and not giving up until you find something, until you find that message to market match, until you find the right offer to the right person. And assuming you can reach that audience, then you are in business. Like you are in business. It's all about getting that initial success. And then, so the biggest mistake people make is that once people find something that works, they're not sticking to the thing that works. Really, the easiest way to grow a business is really to take a look at what's already working and do more of that, right? So this is kind of what we want to do. Like my all-time favorite quote comes from my friend, my all-time favorite business quote comes from my friend, Richard Cousins. Making money is boring. Making a lot of money is really boring. A lot of people, when they have something that works, they don't want to just stick to the boring things of like just keep selling that one offer. They all want to chase shiny objects. They want to start a software company. They want to find the latest chat GPT, or they want to hire a big team or whatnot. Well, really what they want to focus on is, really what they need to do is just stay focused. And this is really the biggest mistake people make is not being focused. This is always true, but it's very true at that stage. And then, so that's kind of the first biggest mistake that people make. And then I can talk about a couple other ones.
I hear what you're saying, and I've heard that a lot from people, is that they figure, it looks simple, it's a great process, but they're not going to put in the work. They think they can just do, self-gratification, right? I can just easily pull up to the drive-thru and get my meal, and I don't have to cook anything, I don't have to do anything, and it's just going to be automated like that. And I have found, especially myself, being an entrepreneur now for 5+ years, to your point, you definitely got to find your niche. Who needs your stuff? Who needs your product? Who needs your services? And does it really solve their problem? And can they see that it will solve their problem? And then you can work together to create that desired outcome. And we're so inundated by claims. We're inundated by offers all the time, and everyone's saying, hey, you guys, you can be just like me. You just gotta just sign up for my course, and you'll be just like Johnny over there with the $1 million house and the jet and all this, and you think, oh, that's all I got to do, and then I'll be just like Johnny. Well, it's not that simple, right? It's more or less, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, hey, I'm going to go to Ron. Ron is now, back from his trek from the Himalayas. He's at the bottom of that great mountain, and I'm about to say, I want to scale. Hey, Ron, I want to scale to the top of the Himalayas. Like, sure, you can do that. You're going to have to do this. You're going to do that. He said, but, ultimately, as you start going up that mountain, you're going to incur all the different elements of why climbing Mount Everest or wherever that is in the Himalayas is so difficult. It's very difficult. But if you stick to it, as you just stated, if you stick to it through a tried and true methodology with the right guide, you actually can get there. But isn't that something? You get to the top of the Himalaya and you say you're bored? You're like, wow, now you've got a 7-figure business and then you jump off the mountain.
Well, I mean, this is the whole thing. I mean, most entrepreneurs are, by definition, they're very ambitious and, they're very goal oriented. And there's this idea, of course, that I'm sure you're familiar with, like hedonic adaptation, where it's like you get to one level, you get used to it, then you want to get to the next level. So the point I'm getting, and so one thing, just like the way we're wired, especially the way entrepreneurs are wired, once you hit, I can't tell you how many people, for many people who kind of just starting, it's like they would just dream of being able to like replace their income, or they still tell you, I would give anything for $10,000 a month. And then, once you're making $10,000 a month, it's like, oh, I mean, this is okay. It's not as cool as I thought it would be. You just got to get used to it. Then it's like, now I need to make $100,000 a month, or not $100,000, I need $20,000 a month. Then you're making $100,000 a month, and then it's like, well, I have friends that are making $1 million a month, and then the cycle kind of continues. So that's the thing that's kind of an issue that's kind of happening. At the same time, it's kind of true that like, how do I say this? Nobody, just being totally honest, very, very, very few people have like a perfect business in the sense that like they're really, again, you could come up with some exceptions, but there's very few businesses where it's just like, everything works perfectly. You're just like, everything's automated. It's pumping out customers and clients. Like, so even like business, anyone who's like, who is doing 7 figures, like, most likely if you're doing 7 figures, you're probably not, that's not all profit, right? So and again, a lot of it could be profit, but even if you have a successful 7-figure business, maybe you're doing, $500,000, $400,000 a year in profit, which is pretty good. But like, people like that, they want to make $1 million in profit. So then you're going to have to kind of like scale even scale even more. And then that's going to have its own, its own challenges, its own, its own, there are other new challenges you're going to have to overcome, right? So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but those are
it does. I think we're getting in a deeper conversation now that's so important, because you've got to have your client needs to understand what it is they want to accomplish, and as you accomplish those goals, is this really the goal that you're willing to get to? Because you can get into other areas. The definition of things like greed. If you really go down that, you're insatiable at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
sure.
that happens, unfortunately, with certain people that have certain things like gambling. So there's no amount. If you have that kind of problem, you're going to gamble no matter if you have $10 or if you have $10 million. You're just going to keep gambling until it's gone. So you have to understand what it is that you want to do, and you have to have some self-discipline, which brings me to my next question. You have something called your A player inner circle.
Yes.
How do you define it? Give us a persona around that type of a player.
Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, is turning heads in the healthcare and information technology sectors with his groundbreaking approach to personal branding and business development. By challenging conventional strategies, he's setting a new standard for how executives present themselves and their businesses to the world. McGaw's expertise isn't just about standing out. It's about strategic guidance, generating leads, and building networks that propel executives beyond their competition. His focus on authenticity allows leaders to leverage their unique stories, driving exponential growth and success in their industries. Beyond branding, McGaw is a fervent advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. He's committed to helping organizations cultivate environments where innovation and collaboration thrive through inclusive cultures. And for those eager to dive deeper, McGaw hosts the Follow the Brand podcast. Here, he unpacks the intricacies of personal branding and business growth, offering valuable insights for professionals eager to redefine their identities and share their narratives with the world. In today's world, where every voice competes for attention, true influence stands out. One visionary has redefined the landscape of brand building. His name is Grant McGaw, and his innovative approach is setting new standards in the industry. Recognized among the top 30 global gurus in branding for 2025, Grant McGaw is a name synonymous with transformative brand leadership. His work is not just about creating brands, it's about crafting legacies. Through his visionary strategies, he is helping leaders across the globe redefine their impact and influence. At the heart of Grant's success is the revolutionary BRAVE framework. BRAVE stands for branding, resilience, authenticity, vision, and excellence. Each element is meticulously crafted to guide leaders in building brands that are not only successful, but also meaningful. Branding sets the foundation, resilience ensures longevity, authenticity builds trust, vision drives innovation, and excellence guarantees quality. This framework is where data meets storytelling and strategy meets authenticity. From healthcare to technology, Grant's methodology is reshaping how industries approach branding. His strategies are not confined to a single sector. They are universal, adaptable, and effective. By integrating the BRAVE framework, organizations are experiencing a transformation in how they connect with their audiences, ensuring their message resonates and endures. Grant McGaw's influence extends beyond frameworks. Through his best-selling books and the acclaimed Follow the Brand podcast, he shares insights and strategies that empower leaders to elevate their brand presence. These resources are a testament to his commitment to shaping the future of branding. Grant McGaw is not just influencing the present, he is shaping the future of brand influence. His work is a beacon for those seeking to lead with purpose and impact. By embracing his methodologies, leaders are equipped to navigate the complexities of modern branding with confidence and clarity. Discover the BRAVE approach to brand leadership and unlock the potential of your brand. At 5-Star BDM, where vision meets results, Grant McGaw invites you to embark on a journey of transformation. Experience the power of strategic branding and redefine your impact in the world.
Yes, that's my high level client group. So I mean, really, when I think of an A player, I really think of people who are kind of like, top of their game, who are, I call them like people who are kind of in the top 1% of what they do. Like they're really good at what they do. They're also very, very, they're very ambitious. Like they realize, as we were talking about, they realize that, they might be doing well, but there's always that next level to go to. They're also very growth oriented, and they're also very, very impact driven for sure. So it's kind of like a combination of all those things. It's kind of what makes an A player to me.
Now, would you put yourself in that category? Are you an A player?
I hope so. I do my best. Yes, for sure.
Well, we think you're an A player. Otherwise, you would not be doing what you are doing. And A players always have mentors, someone who has guided them, become almost like their North Star. So I want to ask this, because you are in the Follow Brand Show. We are all about personal branding and your brand. Who do you look to for your North Star, and how do you define your own personal brand?
Okay, I'll ask the first question. Oh, so actually, I think this will dive into it. So I would say my two biggest like influences and mentors when it comes to what we're talking about here. One of them is a guy by the name of Dan Kennedy. Have you heard of Dan Kennedy?
I have. Yeah.
So Dan Kennedy's a legendary marketer. He was actually the first person who I really studied very in-depthly way back in the day. And he's really just a brilliant person. And a lot of what I've learned, when it comes to business, I learned from him, but also his philosophy overall. Like he's all about kind of like this kind of no BS, no holds, not holding anything back, really being like a truth teller. And that's something that really, really resonated with me, kind of going against the grain. I always kind of consider myself kind of a rebel in my own way. So he's by far been my biggest influence and inspiration on the business standpoint. And then my other biggest inspiration is a guy by the name of Brian Johnson. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He recently wrote a book called Arete. His website is heroic.us. So he would be more like in the personal development field. And I've learned a lot from him. And his mission is really to help all of us flourish and kind of like become our heroic best selves. And he was just, I found out about him back in about 2011, 2012. And I remember I've had some kind of difficult periods in my life. And he was always, he was like, I would always kind of go to his like teachings and his recordings to kind of like really inspire me. And since then I've just kind of built on that. So, and so so Dan Kennedy and Brian Johnson, those are by far my two biggest influences. And I do think that, as far as like my personal brand, what I try to do is I kind of do my best to kind of embody almost like a combination of the two, in the sense that Dan Kennedy is like this very brilliant, no BS like marketing strategist. And then Brian, if you ever see any of his like watching any of his videos, he has this very just like he has like this very, very loving, giving, like positive energy. So I think kind of like myself, like kind of like being kind of like again, like kind of a combination of those two is kind of how I think about it.
The Zen, that's what I look at that, like you're the Zen business strategist. Right?
I'll take it. That sounds good to me. I like that. I love that.
No, that's beautiful, man. I mean, you've been doing some work here, and some of my notes are telling me that you've been involved with the Los Angeles County Yo-Yo Champion and your love for Nutella. I mean, does that all kind of like fall into what?
I was the Los Angeles County Yo-Yo champion way back in 1989. The Nutella thing, I need to update my website. That I used to be very addicted to Nutella. Since then I've kind of kicked my sugar addiction. So I'm not. I do love Nutella, but it's been a while since I ate it, to be totally honest.
Oh, I think this is wonderful. I want to get back to a little bit of business, because there are people out there right now that are starting out, and they say, you know what? I hear what he said, and I love the fact that how he found his mojo and his energy was that he took a leap of faith and started marketing to lawyers that needed to pass the bar. I mean, that was it. And finding something that you're good at. Now people say, well, how? That's the biggest thing, right? That I hear about in the world of social media and digital marketing. People are like, how do I monetize? I'm posting every day. I'm doing videos. I think I'm, putting out good information about a subject that I feel very strongly about, that I feel I have mastered, and that I'm sharing that knowledge with others. And I'm developing some coursework, and I have some things out there, but they haven't really hit the traction that I see in this space, where I see so many people seem to be making thousands of dollars a month, and I can't even make $100 a month. What am I doing wrong, Ron?
Yeah, so I mean, in that situation, so what I would recommend is that, so of course, again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier in this podcast. It's all about finding the right offer to the right person. So what you want to be thinking about, if you have different expertise and you're not making the income that you want to have, you want to be thinking about, okay, what expertise, and hopefully it's something that you're passionate about. It kind of needs to be something you're passionate about, at least passionate enough about. What's the thing that you're passionate about, that you have expertise on, that people will actually pay for? Like, what's the problem that you can solve that really has value in the marketplace? this is what you want to be thinking about. And now, so now, shortcut here. Now, there's many different problems that you can solve, but if you're doing coaching or consulting, if you're selling knowledge, most of the things that people will pay for, they're going to follow in the three main buckets of helping them with their health, wealth, and relationships, or kind of like the general personal development, helping them generally, evolve and become better people. So what you want to be thinking about now, again, there are exceptions. There are different sub niches. Like if you can, there's like the dog training thing, for example. So for sure, if you're a good dog trainer, and again, I'm not discounting this at all. Like if you, I'm just trying to think what would be some, I've worked with people that they help people improve sports, for example, if you can do that, that's super cool. So what you want to be looking at is, but generally most the kind of about 80% of the coaching and education that's sold, it's in those broad three categories: health, wealth, and relationship. And the other 20% would be kind of these more specific sub niches. Anyways, what I'm getting at is that I would ask you the question: is there a market for the thing that you're selling? Are you solving a problem that people will pay for? And so then how do you find that out? First, you just look at, it's pretty easy. Are people selling, are people selling this? Are there other coaches that are solving a similar problem? If you Google how to do X, Y, Z, are there ads coming up? So that we want to be thinking of, is there a market? So first we can do our initial research to see if there's a market for it. And then the second thing, and this is, I think, is the thing that enough people don't do, is, once you once you're doing things, you really need to get out there. You need to really talk to people. You need to make them your offer. And that's something that a lot of people are afraid to do. They kind of just want to hide behind their computer and post on social media or write blog posts all the time. But then most people listening to this, if they've gotten started, you probably do have, you probably do have hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, following you or paying attention to you. Really talk to some of those people. Talk to some of those people and say things like, hey, I'm thinking about coming up with a program that does X, Y, Z. Would this be interesting to you? What do you think about that? Help them, have them help you kind of get feedback on your offer as kind of an initial step. And then also, maybe a little bit after, actually make your offer. Talk to somebody and kind of find out what they're working on and what their problems are. And if you feel you can solve that problem, so let them know, I think I can actually help you with this. Would you like to hear more about what that would look like? And then if they say yes, we'll actually have this program where we do X, Y, Z, and then you're off to the races. So again, I think that's the thing that it's not fun. It's not, most people, again, it's easier. It would be awesome for all of us if we could just write blog, and some people do this. If we just write blog posts and post on social media and have money come into us, but the fastest way for us to make money is going to be to go directly to people who can give us that money and make them an offer.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love
the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
I really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
I 100% agree with you. Especially my experience, 25 years in business development, information technology, working with all kinds of businesses and enterprises, from individuals to small business owners to multi-employee enterprises that employ thousands of people. The human-to-human interaction cannot be discounted.
For sure.
You've got to talk to individuals and get their feedback. And sometimes someone's going to tell you that your baby is actually ugly. And, you might have to, dress it differently and just understand, because you get so much into your own creation that you don't see it from the outside. How does someone else actually view it? And it might be beautiful in your eyes, but in the eyes of your client or potential client or customer, where it may be, they might see it completely differently. They don't see it. And it might be just some little tweaks. I find it, a little tweak in this messaging here or there, they actually now see it, and you have a connection now. And because you have to have more conversation. You just can't let the ad speak everything about what you do and why you do it. We've got to have those live interactions with people. Sometimes you can do that, in a workshop. You can do that, you talked about earlier, webinars, but like we're doing now, me and you are having a live conversation. I'm learning so much more about you and what you do, and I can then, when I start consuming some of the content that you have out there, it's going to make even more sense about why I would want to enroll in your particular programs or coaching programs and what you have, because now I see the fit, because now I've tried it on. So there's a lot of clothes. Let's say you go into the department store and you're looking for a new suit or whatever it may be, and you got to find your size, you got to find your color, and you've got to find what fits with you and it fits the personality and the purpose for why you're putting on those clothes. And remember, you're just one of those clothes, suits, let's say, on the rack, say when you're going through digital marketing or whatever. So what's going to make that person stop, try on your suit, and then see if it's going to fit? And that is a big challenge. Do you find yourself, when you're coaching people, that you've got to all right, tell me what you've got, show me what you've got, let me hear what you're saying your offer is, and then do you then give them actual feedback on that and say, hey, perhaps if we tried it this way or that way, it might work better for you? Is that kind of what your niche is?
Yeah, that can happen sometimes, for sure. Oftentimes, yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely when we're depending on kind of how far along the client is, kind of where they're at, oftentimes people, there might be some tweaks as far as how they're talking about their offer, how they're presenting their offer. But yeah, most of the people that I'm working with, they kind of have an offer that's in place. Not all, but most of the time. And then it's more just about, okay, how could we get more eyeballs on that offer? What are some best ways to sell that offer?
Okay, so that makes sense. Getting the reach out there. So and I found that let's say you're killing it, like myself. I'm killing it in Miami, or I'm killing it, in healthcare and information technology space. However, I might feel like, if I got outside of just that particular niche, and maybe I took this into another area, and then I would then want to talk to Ron. I want the audience to understand, when they would bring you in, when do you feel that you're at your best for a client and they can get the most out of what you bring to the table?
I mean, yeah, really my ideal person, the one who, the people who I can really get the fastest results with are people who have already kind of passed those initial stages, like they already have something that's working, and maybe they already have like a good sized audience in place. Maybe they're already doing 2, 3, $400,000, and they're looking just to kind of get to millions, multiple millions the fastest. Those are the people that I can really help out the fastest.
And do you take them through a system, like say, hey, Ron, talk to me as if I am that client and I'm doing those types of numbers, and then I want to enroll with you. What's that process like?
So what I would look at the process I would take you through is I would go through I have a diagnostic process where I can kind of like look at, what are the biggest kind of leverage points of your business, like where's kind of low-hanging fruit, as well as what are our things that might be holding us back. And then we would come up with like a customized plan kind of based on what makes the most sense to start with, if that makes sense. So it's like I do have a process, but it's not like everybody goes through the exact same process. It's kind of customized based on kind of where they're at. So for example, there's I've worked with quite a few clients where they actually have like a really good offer. They have a good sized audience, they have a loyal audience, and they're maybe doing okay, but they're only selling kind of like they have like a membership site, for example, and that's the kind of person where the thing I would most likely start them with, I would have us like start like get a higher end offer in place, because you're probably going to double, triple your business just by having a higher end offer in place. If you have a low audience, if you don't already have one, if you don't have a high end offer and you do a low audience, because really, there's kind of the top 1 to 3% of your clients that are going to pay 10 times more than everybody else. So this is literal free money, low hanging fruit. On the other hand, I've also worked with clients. They might be doing really, really well on the higher end of the market, and that's working well, but they are not getting enough leads. They're not getting enough. They need to have more reach, and that might be the thing that we focus on. Those are just a couple examples. There's other ones as well, but that would be an example of how I would work with a client.
I like that. I want our audience to really hone in on what you just said. You have to understand your customers, and you've got to have a way to gain more clients. And then also you've got to have a way to get more value out of the clients that you already have. I think we call it lifetime value and that type of thing. If you have a combination of those two things happening in the positive for you, you have a good growth business. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, this is where we get to it. So we're getting to the end of this particular podcast. And before I conclude, I want to give you the mic, considering everything that we have spoken about, everything that you have done. And you've had a marvelous career in what you're doing and a sought after brand master. And your pedigree and it speaks for itself. And you are a mentor to other people. This is great. What message would you leave our audience with that can bring them what you feel will be some good value?
Yeah. So one of the things that I would just want to remind people of is that all growth happens outside the comfort zone, and most likely the thing that you're kind of afraid of, the thing that you kind of know you should be doing, that's the thing that you need to take action on. Because once you do that, it's just going to unlock a whole new world for you. And here's the thing, this is the most important thing, is that really being an entrepreneur, there's really only one step when it comes to being a successful entrepreneur. It's constant forward motion. It's being out there, it's taking action, being out in the marketplace and implementing as fast as you can. Because when you do that, you're either going to win or you're going to learn. You're going to win or you're going to learn. And when you learn, obviously you can take that information and use it to eventually win. And as long as you don't give up, you're going to get exactly where you want to go.
I love that, man. There's only two outcomes. I want my audience to really hear that you're either going to win or you are going to learn, meaning learn how to win. I like that. That's a win-win proposition. And before I let you go, we talked about your website, but we've got to let people know how to get in contact with you so they can look you up, see what that offer looks like, and see, hey, if you're feeling a little bit stagnant or you feel you need a little bit more information, and this might be a direction for you, Ron, tell us how to get in contact with you.
They can go to just go to www.ronreich.com. That's RONREICH.com. And I do have a free 60-second profit checklist that they can download. And also, if anybody's really ambitious, if they're listening to this, you can actually email me personally at ron@ronreich.com. And then if you email me and tell me that you're from the Follow the Brand podcast, I'll actually give you access to my $500 launch course, which is a legitimate $500 value as a special gift to your listeners.
I love that, Ron. You know I love that. Now I got to ask you, because I ask people now these days, like, hey, you just went through nice 30, 35-minute conversation with me on the Follow Brand podcast. What was your experience?
I just want to say I had a great experience being on the Follow the Brand podcast. It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot, as much from his questions and his reflections as I did from my own knowledge. So just anyone who's thinking about listening to this podcast, you definitely should listen to it.
I love that. I love it. Thanks a lot, Ron. And I want to encourage your entire audience to listen to all the different episodes of the Follow Brand podcast. And that can be found at www.5, that's the number 5, star BDM, that's for B for brand, D for development, infomasters.com. This has been wonderful. Thank you again for being on the show, Ron.
Thanks for time.
You're welcome.
Welcome to Follow the Brand, where we turn leaders into legends. I'm Grant McGaw, CEO of 5 Star BDM. Today, we're not just talking about executive presence, we're going to transform yours. Executive presence isn't about power, it's about trust. And here's the good news. You can build it at any level. Let's dive into how you can command any room you enter. Dr. Kimberly Long, CEO of California Nurse Leaders, shared a profound insight. The moment you try to prove your power is the moment you lose it. Executive presence is about building trust and authority without force. It's about creating an environment where people lean in to listen. You can achieve this by being authentic and consistent in your communication and actions. Consider Dr. Long during a hospital merger. She lowered her voice instead of raising it, and the room leaned in. Similarly, Sarah Chen, a project manager, used this technique in meetings. Within 3 months, her team began to emulate her style. Denzel Ross, now president of IU Health South Central, built his presence by identifying communication gaps and lifting others up. These examples show how presence spreads through subtle yet powerful actions. Your action step. In your next 3 meetings, try speaking 10% slower and 20% quieter. Watch what happens. For team leads, start delegating key responsibilities. Managers should use meetings as learning labs. Directors build cross-functional bridges. The key shift? Stop being the answer person. Start being the question person. This approach fosters growth and empowers others. Patrick Green, CEO of UF Health Jacksonville, uses a communication matrix to simplify complex ideas. His 3-step formula: start with impact, follow with insight, end with action. For example, instead of saying, "We need to upgrade our systems," he says, "We can save 50 lives this year by investing in this technology. Here's how." This clarity builds influence and trust. 3 common mistakes: reactivity, over-explaining, and imposter syndrome. When challenged, take a slow sip of water to respond thoughtfully. Instead of defending every detail, offer a headline first. Dr. Long still gets nervous before board meetings but prepares thoroughly. Remember, nervousness is energy. Executive presence isn't a destination, it's a practice. Start where you are, use what you have, and build from there.
When you deliver on on your promise, and you have the result you were looking for, and everybody in the room is like, "Wow, this is what we're talking about."
Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.